Good morning. Wow. Thanks for the opening act, Mary. That was great. Let it be. Let it be. Today is Mother's Day. The celebration of femininity, feminism. Femininity has been looked on as what's the word? Passive, receiving. Yeah? You can hear me? Okay. But the thing is, we don't realize in Genesis, the entire universe was created by passivity. God did not say, I'm going to make me a bunch of light. What did she say? Let there be light. Allowing. The feminine allows. I'm going to touch on the feminine and masculine a little bit before we get into mothers. Oh, mothers. Clarissa Piccola Estes says, the feminine is not weak. Its very texture is creation, nurturing, sustaining, and endlessly generative. It is not weak. Just because it's passive doesn't mean it doesn't move. Every one of us is feminine. Every one of us is masculine. If you were purely masculine, you would only be breathing out. Got to be feminine to let it in. So every one of us, but most of us display, I just tend to display a little bit more of the masculine. That's okay. But we have to have both in each of us. The song El Shaddai, the Hebrew song, El Shaddai, translates into the breasted one. That's what the translation of El Shaddai is. And only women stayed with Jesus till the end. The men all ran away. That's okay. But the women stayed. Jesus appeared to Mary Magdalene first. And my personal belief, I think he was married to her. You don't have to believe that, but I do. You know, because in order for a teacher to be a rabbi in the Jewish faith, you had to have a family. So I think he had brothers and sisters and maybe some kids. I don't know. And women were very important early in the church. They were the same as the men. They sent letters, they preached. There was no difference until later on. Jesus tells a story about an unjust judge. There was this poor widow who wanted to get a just judgment. And this unjust judge who received bribes and was very wicked would not give her a just settlement. But she persisted and she persisted and she persisted. She persisted and she knocked on her door and made herself a pest until finally he gave her a just judgment. Now this parable has been translated as, if you keep bugging God, he will finally give you what you want. But here's the kicker. Rocco Errico, who's an Aramaic scholar, said Jesus would never have portrayed God, whom he loved, as an unjust, evil person. We are the judge. And God is the poor widow who begs and knocks on your door and knocks on your door until one day you listen and you let her in. I like that translation. It makes more sense. Jesus loved God. He would never portray him as something evil. So, in honor of the feminine, if you're willing, would all the women please stand? If you can. If you can't, don't worry. There's nothing wrong doing right or wrong here. You're fine. And I want the men to look at the women. Just look at any of them. Yes. Oh my God, this is lovely. I want the men to say to the women, I honor you, I bless you. I honor you, I bless you. Again. I honor you, I bless you. Once more. I honor you, I bless you. Good. Now the women look at the men and tell them, I honor you, I bless you. I honor you, I bless you. Once more. I honor you, I bless you. And the last time. I honor you, I bless you. God, you guys are wonderful. Now all of you, just for a moment, close your eyes, put your hand on your heart, and say, close your eyes and say, I honor you, I bless you. I honor you, I bless you. And one more time to seal the deal. Great. You can sit down now. So let's talk about mothers. My stepdaughter, Phaedra, she has a plaque in her living room that says, remember, as far as anyone knows, we are a completely normal family. Whether you like it or not, women are the only way to have an experience on this earth. Women and men, let's put it that way. But women, you have to come through a woman. Sorry, there's no other way. I mean, we forget that. And most of us, me included, thought that my parents' lives started when I was born. It never occurred to me that they had a life before. I had a friend, Dory Gustafson. She was a fellow programmer, but she used to teach second graders. And she said she used to sometimes blow their minds away by saying, do you know that your mommies and daddies used to drink out of a little nipple bottle? They used to, and the second graders go, no, they're big. They could not comprehend that. So I was thinking, like, of all the thousands of women in this world who have affected this world, the famous and the ones who are not even known. Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, Joan of Arc. Who do I talk about? Michelle Obama, Meryl Streep, Sojourner of Faith. There are so many. So I chose the one that I think affected this universe the most. My mom. This is my universe. My mother, Jean Carol Slusarczyk. She was born. She gave birth to 5 beautiful children. None of us came with a user's manual. And no one ever tells mothers that a child is a mini hurricane or tornado, a cyclone, something. They were, everything you think you know about parenthood is going to be gone by the time you've done some work with the kids. So my mother had 5 kids. Tina, who would have been my eldest sister, died at 6 months of crib death. And I arrived maybe a year later. But Tina would have been the eldest. And I would be, if I was today, I would be a poster child for the ADHD kids. I was a great kid until I hit 1st and 2nd grade. And then I began to think. I began to go, if this doesn't make sense, I ain't doing it. And in 2nd grade, I would not do my homework. I did homework for a couple of weeks, and I realized, we're going to do this for 52 weeks? And I would just rip the pages out and throw them in my brief. I would not do my homework. I was always reading the wrong book, and the teachers were telling my mom I was going to be a juvenile delinquent. And we had hell. I had beatings by nuns. My mom gave me many beatings, many yellings. We loved each other, but we didn't like each other. Not for a while. It took me a while. Everyone take a breath in that head. It's okay. But my mother was really wise. Now, you didn't lip off to my mom, And then 10, 15 years later, I'm 20, 21, 22. I'm married, living outside the house, and I come home one day in the afternoon, and my mom and my littlest sister, Jenny, they're having an argument, and Jenny is sassing off to my mom. She's just sassing off. I said, Jenny, don't speak to your mother in that tone. And my mom said, Jer, we're having a conversation here. What? Did someone slip a pod next to her while she was sleeping one night or something? Who is this person? It was interesting. But my mother, like all of your mothers, like all of you mothers, was learning. She was changing. After me and my brother, my brother was a year and a half younger than me. My mother tells a story that one time she took me and Jim to Hammond, Indiana for a shopping trip, and we were sitting at a bus stop, and me and Jim, I don't know what we were doing, but we were being two kids. And some lady said, whose kids are these? And my mother said, I have no idea. And then we went to her and said, Mom, Mom. And the lady said, oh, you poor dear. So after me and her, she threw out her book. She threw out everything she knew about parenting and just said, you know what, I don't know how to do this. When my sister Jenny was just a baby, maybe a year old, we were getting ready to go to church. We were good Catholics. We were getting ready to go to church. And my mother says to my dad, I'm not going to church today. And my dad goes, you have to go to church. It's a mortal sin if you don't go to church. And my mother says, no, this is crazy. You can go to church, have a nice nap, and I'm going to sit underneath the pear tree with my daughter, and that's going to be our church for today. Yeah. Yes, Mom. One of my brother's friends called one time, and my mom says, he's not home, can I take a message? And the guy, being a smart ass, said, yeah, tell him Frank Zappa called. And my mother said, oh, the lead guitarist of the Mothers of Invention wants to speak to my son? I'm impressed. And they were like, ooh. My mom was sassy. There was one time, we had two stories. Me and my sisters had bedrooms upstairs. And my mom was sweeping up. And my sisters had this little Virgin Mary nightlight. It's a little Virgin Mary nightlight, and she's sweeping. And the broom actually hits the nightlight and knocks the Virgin Mary across the floor. And my mom looks at it, and she goes, yeah, you had it all made. You had the Son of God for a kid. You had Jesus. Well, bless you. And she whipped her down the stairs, down through the dining room, whipped her down into the basement, turned off the light, slammed the door, and said, stay down there. You holier than thou. Then later on, she said she ran down in the dark basement, picked her up. I'm sorry, I love you. Put her back. That was my mom. I think that was all of our moms. Crazy, loving, nuts. or us. I mean, isn't it true that we are all, who have become grandparents, we were better grandparents than we were parents? I think so. You know, we have a little bit of time. My sister Judy said one time her son Tommy spilled milk for the 17th time. And she was getting ready to clean up the milk from the floor with him. And my mom walked in and she goes, Judy, get a cup of coffee. It's just spilled milk. You know? She learned to love herself. One night she made supper for us. My sister Jenny made some snack. Ew, this junk again, or whatever. And she had it. My mom said, you know what? I'm tired of being a maid. I'm not a maid. So I'm not cooking for you anymore. Cook your own damn meals. I'm only cooking for Joe, her husband. And she taught us how to cook. And she didn't cook. She made for my dad, but not us. We made our own meals. But every now and then, she would make a meal for us. And boy, did we like it. This is good, Mom. And it was coming from her love. Because as a woman, we love. As a woman, you can cut off, but there comes the point when you go, oh, I love these brats. I'm going to make them a nice meal. And she would. But when she was going through this period, she and my dad worked together as a team. So he was an upholsterer. He would do patterns, and she should sew the material. She was a sewing woman. She would sew all the material. And so he would pay her. He paid us, too, because we would help on delivery. So we all, he had a business, and he was paying us. So she had money. So during this time, she bought herself a piano, reteaching herself how to piano. I would come home from high school, and I would see her sitting in her chair reading Khalil Gibran's The Prophet. She read that all the time. She took care of herself. She and my dad went to Hawaii, and on the second or third trip, my mom saw how much Hawaii was building up, and she absolutely loved Hawaii. And she turned to my dad, and she said, Joe, in 5 years, I'm going to be living here. Do you want to be with me? And my dad said, well, we can get divorced, and she gets half of everything, and she's in Hawaii, and I'm still in Chicago. What's wrong with this picture? My teacher, MSI, said in a perfectly, wonderfully balanced relationship, the man rows the boat, the woman steers. Men, I'm just being sexist here, but the male part is good at working in this world, creating things, moving things. But the woman looks ahead. We don't want to do this. This is going to mess something up. Let's go that way. So I'm going to be in Hawaii 5 years from now. They were there for 25 years. They actually found jobs as an upholsterer, and she was sewing for her, And they actually worked for a famous interior decorator together. My mom wasn't afraid to ask for help. When my sister Judy was going through puberty, my mom said you could feel the hormones coming out of her. She was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to put her in a tent in a yard. And my mom didn't know. And I just love her. She took my sister, and they both went to Planned Parenthood. And she said, teach us. What do we do? And she told my sister, I don't know if you're going to have sex before marriage or not. That's your choice. But I will tell you this. Honor yourself. Honor yourself. And don't let anyone ever dishonor you. Yeah. She said, it'd be my hope that you don't. But you know what? I can't stop you. I went, wow. One time in Hawaii, as I said, my mom sewed for my dad. And she would sometimes make a mistake. And my dad could be an idiot. What's wrong with you? Can't you see my instructions? What's the matter with you? And my mom would say, Joe, you don't talk to the women at work like this. Don't treat me the same way. Please, stop it. I want to read you something from Ursula K. Le Guin. She's a science fiction writer. And this is from her commencement address at Bryn Mawr to the girls who were graduating. This gives, I don't know about you, but it gives me shivers. When women truly speak, they speak subversively. They cannot help it. If you're underneath, if you're kept down, you break out. You subvert. We are volcanoes. When we women offer our experience as our truth, as human truth, all the maps change. There are new mountains. And that is what I want. I want to hear you erupting. You young Mount St. Helenses who don't know the power that's in you, I want to hear you. Well, my mom had sewn a piece of fabric wrong. She was an inch off. And my dad ragged at her, called her a stupid idiot. And Mount St. Helens erupted. Without a word, she took the offending material, grabbed it from my dad's hands, went out into the courtyard that shared all these businesses, and she said, I am such a stupid idiot. Look at this. I'm an inch off. Such an idiot. God, if only I knew my husband is a saint. He puts up with me, and I'm so stupid. And my dad saying, Jane, what are you doing? You're making a fool of yourself. And I'm a fool, too. So stupid. Oh, I'm an inch off. I should have known better. How does he put up with me? And after a few more minutes, you walk back in the shop and shove the material back in his chest. And she says, I am not a stupid idiot. I am not a stupid child. I'm your wife. I make mistakes like you make mistakes. And don't you ever talk to me like that again, or I'll tell him outside. My sister Judy said that weeks later, they'd be walking down Kalakaua Avenue in Hawaii, and maybe something happened. My dad would start ramping up, and my mom just had to go. And he would, she was, you want? You feeling lucky? That was my mom. So, if you like, I like to do a meditation. So if you're feeling willing, there's no way to do this right. Every one of us, as I said, when I was writing this talk, I thought, mothers, what a minefield. I mean, it's one bang. Because we all have conflicting feelings, and that's okay. But let this meditation be about just being you. As the song said, let it be. So close your eyes and take a deep, cleansing breath. Just let it go. If you have any negativity on you, mom, or anything, take a deep breath of that. Pull in the negativity. Purify it and let it go. Don't think. Just feel your feelings. Notice your thoughts. Whatever you are feeling right now, you're sitting across from your mother, let's just say, having a cup of coffee. Maybe you want to tell her something. Whatever it is, it's perfect. And now, if you're really willing, let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back in time. Back, back, back. And I want you to be with your mother 30 minutes before she was born. 30 minutes before she was born. This tiny little girl. She does not know about girls or boys, about parties or school. She does not know who you are. She does not know that she's going to meet your father someday. And maybe she's a little scared or curious. And what would you like to tell her right now? And know that in 15, 20, 30 years, the two of you are going to meet again. So if you're really willing, while you're there, baptize her in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. I baptize you as my mother. I claim you as my mother. I claim you as my tribe. And very gently, very lovingly, come back, come back, come back to this room. Gently open your eyes. We have all grown today. We have all changed. Bless the mothers. Bless Father, Mother, God. Bless this church. Namaste.